Angle on Oweleke TV. My name is Jibrin, and this is my angle. Once again, we have Barrister Austin Manta as our guest and regular guest at that. We shall be talking about some matters arising in the polity. We shall start with Dele Farotimi's issue. But before then, let me appreciate Mr. Manta for joining us once again.
Thank you very much, please.
All right, viewers, for those of you who are just joining for the first time, Barrister Manta is a very senior legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Barrister, let me play this video. Then, okay, before I play this video, can you let me ask on the follow for Dele Farotimi's issue? What is the latest? Right? Is he still in detention?
Yes, he is still in detention.
Okay.
On his being charged to court, he was his lawyers made an oral application for bail, and the magistrate said they should go and put it down in writing, and he adjourned the matter to 10th of December. So he is remanded in prison custody.
Okay. Now, what is the viability of the case against him? I don't know. Do you have the details of everything, the whole incident?
Yes, I have followed the case closely, even before he was arrested and charged, because he gave a few press conferences. He made some statements before the police were able to arrest him in Lagos and take him down to Ekiti State and charge him to court.
You as a lawyer from the legal angle, how can you read the case? Does Afe Babalola have a case against him? I don't know. I think what I read about the case, I think is about defamation of character. So I don't know. As a lawyer, what do you think about the viability of the case?
Well, you are talking about defamation of character. There are other charges that the police filed, I think, as at Friday, relating to cyber crimes, cyber bullying, and others. About 12 charges altogether that the police filed based on the Cyber Crimes Prevention Act of 2015. But all the charges so far filed and the issue of the defamation relate to the book and some online interview with Seun Akembale on his podcast that Dele gave. But principally, it is about the book he wrote, which is titled Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, where he pointedly said that Afe Babalola, the Afe Babalola compromised the Supreme Court to give certain judgments. The whole case emanates from that book.
Yeah, can you repeat what you said now?
I said the whole case and his whole travails emanate from the book he wrote and launched. And the title of that book is Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. In that book, he pointedly asserted that Afe Babalola had compromised the Supreme Court and the judiciary.
And now I asked earlier, and I'll ask again. Based on that, does Afe Babalola have a serious case against Dele Farotimi in trouble legally, legitimately. For let's put aside the rascality of government and their conduct. Legally, let's assume that it's that our legal system is working and everything is fair. There is justice in your capacity as a lawyer. Can you classify Dele's situation as a worrisome or a worrisome situation that is actually that the odds are actually against him or stands against him?
Yes, I'm worried for him. The case is not flippant. Like I mentioned on this platform some other time, a defense to libel or defamation is to assert that what you said is true and to prove it. The problem with this case, I have gone in details to find out what the book is about and the origin of the grouse of Dele Farotimi with Afe Babalola. It relates to a case that Afe Babalola did at the Supreme Court. And the judgment of the Supreme Court in that case. Dele Farotimi was not a counsel in that case principally. But the aftermath of the case, he was a counsel to one of the parties that was to be affected. And that is what led him to write that book. Now, like I said, in cases of defamation, you can plead that what you have said is the truth. The question is he in a position to give evidence, to lead evidence that what he said against Afe Babalola is the truth? If not, then he will be in trouble. And if you look at the case, if you allow me time, I can analyze the case. On the face
Go
of
ahead,
it,
please.
you cannot see how you can say that Afe Babalola influenced the Supreme Court to give that judgment. It's a straightforward.
Okay, let me play this video for viewers, for the purpose of viewers. Let me play the video. I think it's just about less than 1 minute video where he actually the key point where he made that statement.
Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary, and in corrupting the judiciary, it came across my practice. When I came across it, I challenged it as a lawyer, and I fought it to the point where he could not enjoy the fruit of his exertion in the Supreme Court. In writing the letter that he wrote to the then Chief Justice of Lagos State, Ayomide Philip, he libeled me, and I sued him for libel. And when I sued for libel, the machines of corruption went into overdrive, and a case that should never have been killed at the preliminary stage was killed. If Afe Babalola was the only person who is licensed to enjoy that level of impunity, that's different. It's not about him. It's a system-wide problem. You simply can't get justice from the system.
Barrister, before you respond, let me re-echo some of the things he mentioned there. I think let me quote him in the book he wrote about this whole issue about I think the justice system. I'll just go read the quote. This is not a biography, for I have painstakingly provided glimpses of my early life in an early sequel to my first book. My purpose here is to tell you the story of my sojourn within the Nigerian legal system and to show you how our justice system, the Nigerian justice system, is in itself criminal, lending credence to how the criminality of the judiciary is completely reflective of the Nigerian state in its full ramifications and with full evidence of how this rot, having become systemic, is insidious and reaches to the very top of the judicial system. Now, there is a quote here that I'm trying to get. Okay, I will speak specifically of the case of Major Murtala Gbadamosi, HCORS versus His Royal Highness Oba Tijani Akinloye and ORS, otherwise known as the Gbadamosi Eletu case. It is my contention regarding this case. I don't know what he meant by this. Actually, this word contention. I don't understand that word. Now that Afe Babalola corrupted the Supreme Court to procure a fraudulent judgment in the service of his clients in plurality. There are several quotes. I'm just skipping that. I'll go to number 5 quote. That Afe Babalola Olu Daramola Olu Faro and the law office of Afe Babalola and Co. That is Emmanuel Chambers, compromised the Supreme Court and the remaining semblance of integrity it might have had when they went back to the Supreme Court and got that court to swim in the sewer of corruption and shameful self-abnegation. Okay, 7. I skip again since to go to 7. I'm just trying to mention. I'm just going into where he mentioned Afe Babalola himself. That Afe Babalola libeled me, and the fact of the libel became known to me in his suit against Lawal Pedro San. 8. That I sued Afe Babalola San for libel, and that he leveraged his influence in the judiciary to deny me justice. Now, barrister, yes, I just decided to read this at least for our viewers to understand the context at which your response is coming up. Now, can you please tell us? You already confirmed that. Okay, it's not a flippant case. That means it's a very serious case against. But Afe Babalola have a serious case against Dele Farotimi. My question is, Dele Farotimi is a lawyer, and what could be the reason behind this? Because as a lawyer, he obviously knew the implication of what he said and what he was going into. What could be the reason? What do you think could be the reason behind? Maybe I'll consider this as recklessness, being that this man is a lawyer. He knows what the law says. Sort of, because this issue of Supreme Court. Okay, I'll come to that because I need you to answer that. Can you please go ahead? First of all, let us know why you think he did that, and you can furthermore go into the details as you wanted to do earlier.
I think my belief is that it is a carryover of a grudge he has against Afe Babalola, which is long-standing. The first part of the video you played when he was saying that Afe Babalola libeled him is not current. It's something that happened some time back. And it's carried over to this present book. When he's writing this book, the Supreme Court case he cited is the major issue. The other one he said Afe Babalola libeled him was struck out at a preliminary stage, so he didn't go forward. So it is this case at the Supreme Court that he zeroed in to form a part of the book he published, and which contains the actual libelous or defamatory statement against Afe Babalola. Remember that we have talked about the corruption of the judiciary on this platform severally. But when you descend to the specific, to start mentioning that this person did that, you have gone beyond public comment. You have gone beyond the comment for public interest. You have mentioned specific, and it is the person's duty to protect his integrity and reputation, to ask you to prove it. That is where he went overboard. And that is why I say probably he has carried over the grudge of the previous case he had with Afe Babalola and formed the opinion that this man is using his influence to corrupt or influence the courts, particularly the Supreme Court, to give certain judgments. So the first question, why did he do it? That's my answer. He has been carrying this grudge, and it boiled over into this book and into this predicament that he found himself. Now,
sorry, I'm sorry to cut you short. Before you go into the details you want, I'm sorry to cut you short once again. Because I don't want to forget. Now, like I said, he is a lawyer. He could have obviously. Do you think that he did not know the implication of what he intended to say before he said it?
Well,
is it possible as a lawyer?
I believe he is aware. If you take the letters of the law, I think he is aware that he is going overboard. And I dare say that even on this platform, some of the things we have said, I can tell you that we have really gone overboard if it comes to the strict letters of the law. So he too, yes, I believe he has gone overboard, maybe out of anger or maybe out of emotion. He went overboard to go specific to mention Afe Babalola by name, who is himself a giant, not just in the legal profession, is a giant in Nigeria as a whole. So you can understand that maybe through emotion and anger, he went overboard, but definitely as a lawyer, not just a young lawyer, a junior lawyer, as a senior lawyer like him, he must know the bridge between fair comment and defamation. When you cross it, you must know that if you mention somebody and say the person has corrupted the judiciary, the person would have the right to call you to account, to call you to prove what you have asserted.
All right. Honestly, this is a man. I actually love this man so much. Dele Farotimi. Everything I've been following him for some time now, and he's been apt. He's been on point. He's been saying it the way it is. That is just it. But honestly, I'm not happy that he got this reckless. Because obviously it's like a trap. The probably government have been look. Of course, he's been a thorn in the flesh of Tinubu and his government. Government have been looking for a way to actually deal with this guy in a legal form. Now they tried to set trap and whatever. He himself made trap for himself, and actually trap caught him. I don't understand why this man will let himself to play into the hands of Nigeria's enemy, his enemy and Nigeria's enemies. Because I don't get it. If you, of course, even me as a layman, I knew quite all right this such defamation. When I watched the video and I read the statement, what he wrote in the book, even me as a layman, I knew quite all right this is a serious case. But I really wanted to hear from you and probably speak to our audience to ascertain what really is Dele Farotimi up against. It is obvious he's up against. Unfortunately, it is not just about Afe Babalola. I think it's about Tinubu's government as well. So they are probably kind of fanning the entire legal issue against Farotimi. So my next question is, what do you think? Where do you think this will lead Farotimi too?
Well, let me first say that you know Farotimi very well. If you have been following his interviews, you can now see that he has, or he normally talks in dual capacity. One as a lawyer and two as an activist. Now, when you are an activist, many activists do not have boundaries. That's the truth. They say whatever comes to their mind. Now, if you were talking purely as a lawyer, you will have boundaries. But when you are talking as an activist, you don't really care. Even with the legal consequences, you still go ahead. You see Sowore talking in the same way. You see Farod. If you have watched his previous interviews, it's pretty more just the same way he went about this interview. But for you to understand the depth of this matter, maybe I should just give you in a brief summary the case that he's referring to.
Please go ahead.
The case of Morutara. This was a case in which Afe Babalola, as a lawyer, did not come into the case until the judgment of the Court of Appeal was delivered. It's a land matter. The Ojomo family of Lagos sold 254 hectares of land to somebody. And then subsequently, Lagos State government compulsorily acquired the whole land of the Ojomo family, including the 254 hectares that were sold to Gbadamosi. So the Ojomo family went to court to challenge the forceful acquisition of their land by Lagos State government, and they won. When they won that case at the High Court and at the Court of Appeal, they now went to court that the whole the land, including the 254 hectares they sold to the other people, has reverted back to them. And the High Court and the Court of Appeal agreed with them. It was after that that the Gbadamosi family briefed Afe Babalola, who took the appeal to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, yes, your judgment is right, but saying that the 254 hectares that you sold also reverted to you cannot be correct, because you sold those part of your land, you no longer had any right over those parts. So you see, the Supreme Court separated their other land from the one they sold, because if you sell land, you no longer have it. So after the judgment, the justice of the Supreme Court that delivered the judgment mistakenly wrote 10 hectares instead of 254 hectares. So Afe Babalola applied to the court for correction of that clerical error. That the land sold was 254. The judge mistakenly wrote 10 hectares. And the Supreme Court corrected it. Now, in the process of enforcing that judgment, there were so many estates in Lagos that were within the land. It has been a popular case that has given rise to, the press has covered the case severally. Lagos State government stepped in. Meanwhile, the people who sold entered into discussion with some of the estates, even behind Afe Babalola's back, and we are making settlements. Lagos State government now say, look, because so many estates and thousands of families, people who occupied it were involved, we will see or look for a solution. One of the estates in this thing was represented by Dele Farotimi. So I do not see how you can say that was a corruption of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court gave the correct judgment. If you sold 254 hectares out of your land, how can you come back and say the land has reverted to you because you have successfully challenged Lagos State government from the forceful accusation? I believe that was the correct judgment the Supreme Court gave. It does not have to be by corrupt influence or anything. I do not expect anything other than the judgment the Supreme Court gave. It was not a bad judgment. It was a correct judgment given by the Supreme Court. So if you use that as a yardstick to claim that the man corrupted the Supreme Court to obtain that judgment, that would be very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. That's my take on that.
Oh, so your own as a my God, this is serious then. So as a lawyer, even the judgment that he actually based on to defame Afe Babalola is not even it's a standard judgment. It should be ought to be it's something that you approve of.
It's a standard judgment. We have a Latin phrase called nemo dat quo non habet. That is, you cannot say what you don't have. If you sell me your land, do you still have right to sell the land again, or to occupy the land again, or to use it again? So in respect of the 254 hectares that they sold, they no longer have any right to claim that it has reverted to them. The land was no longer their own. So the judgment of both the High Court and the Court of Appeal was totally wrong, insofar as the whole land of the Jumo family was reverted to them. They ought to revert the other part that was not sold, but the part that was sold to Badamosi family would not be reverted to the seller. Does it make sense that you say something, the person is occupying the land, the Badamosi family occupied that piece of land? It was at that point that Lagos State acquired it, and the person who sold to them went to court, not just that one, plus the remaining land. Say, look, your accusation is wrong. And the court agreed with them. So that portion that was sold ought not to have reverted to them, because it was sold. So you cannot fault that judgment on any parameter.
Then, in that case, I don't understand. I'll come back to the same question again. If this judgment, this Supreme Court judgment, is exactly what you just explained it to be, because honestly, I when I read this whole thing, I believed Dele Farotimi, but honestly, I rather believe you than Dele, because for those of you who are just joining, who probably is your first time, Barrister Manta has been my lawyer for probably about 20 years or thereabout, I think so. So he's defended he's prosecuted my cases, and I so far, I don't know, have we lost any case? No, we've not lost. Yes, no case. All the cases have always come out victorious. So he's such a person. It's a lawyer that I respect and honor his legal pedigree, especially his interpretation of the law. I remember one case one time where we had I met you in the office or so. I brought a case to you. We have, I think, 2 or 3 other lawyers there with at your chambers there. I met them there, and I brought this case, and both lawyers, I think, were against. They've argued against. In fact, they argued against me, and you were the only one who took one side, and eventually I decided to trust you, and we took it to court, and we eventually won the case. So that actually made me to that's one of the cases that made me to really respect your sense of judicial judgment. So if you just say if you believe that the Supreme Court did the right thing, what on earth will be the reason? Why did Dele Farotimi first bring up this issue at this time? Secondly, become this reckless to have done or said something that he just cannot substantiate? Is there a way he can prove it?
It's near impossible. You know, we have talked about corruption in the judiciary here severally. We know everybody in Nigeria and elsewhere know that the judiciary is corrupt. But having said that, if you are asked to go into the nitty-gritty to prove certain things, if you make specific allegations, you can make general allegations, and it is fair comment for the benefit of the public. But when you pick on a specific issue, it becomes difficult for you to prove. Like in this case, if you are asked to prove that Afe Babalola corrupted the Supreme Court, is a near impossible task, because you are supposed to be to prove whether he bribed them or whether he had private discussion with them to give judgment in a particular way in return for some consideration. This is near impossible to prove. Now, that is why I say he went overboard. Probably carry over of the anger and the frustration he has suffered from the previous case that he mentioned. And that's why I built my analysis based on his previous experience, which he said that if I sued Afe Babalola for defamation and the case did not see the light of day, I would have wanted to have a look at that case, because every lawyer takes preliminary objections on issues, and it can cut short the case at that point without the case going forward. But you still have the right to, if your case was stopped at the High Court level based on a preliminary objection, you have right to go to Court of Appeal, carry it all the way to Supreme Court. But he did not. I believe he stopped when the case was struck out at the High Court level, and he did not take forward. And he's basing that striking out, which according to him is by the influence of I have not seen that case, so I will not judge. But he felt that it was influence of Afe Babalola that stopped that case. Now, even at that point, it is near impossible to prove that specific allegation.
That means, but obviously that means we are. Dele Farotimi is in a long haul, legal long haul. Is that what you're saying? Obviously, he could be in detention for an indefinite period of time.
Not detention. He can be. My disagreement with what happened is that it's a bailable offense, and it's a magistrate court. Bail could be applied orally. Based on his personality, he could have been granted bail even on self-cognizance.
Yeah, but we know the government of the day. We know all those things, but they will. Somebody like Kanu, Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention, and even when court has told the government to release him, they refuse to release. So, obviously, if Dele Farotimi actually by law he did the wrong thing, don't you think that if government have held people for not doing anything wrong, they just look for, just like this Nnamdi Kanu of 18, okay, Nnamdi Kanu do some things wrong legally, but the way they went to bundle him from different country, I think Kenya or whatever, was completely illegal. Now, this case, we all know that government will have probably, it's like this Dele Farotimi just fell into their hands, because obviously it's like you're just giving Tinubu a gift. That's just the reality, because they will use this. They will obviously use this because the truth is, while people are protesting for him to be released, I know behind the scene people will be blaming him. Why did you go this far? Because, like I said, I love the guy. The guy, Dele has been a very, very frank and outspoken person. I've watched him over time, and he's been very, very apt. He's been on point. But my problem is, why did he behave? Why did he play into the hands of our enemies? That is, which by default his enemies as well.
Let me say that I am not prepared to stretch his predicament to the point of saying that the government is responsible. Afe Babalola himself is far more than capable of doing this undertaking. Now, people have saying that, look, Baba, you are old. This man is between 92 to 95 now, Afe Babalola.
Yeah, about 95.
He is an institution in himself. Now, a lot of people are blaming him that, look, why didn't you sue him in the civil court for libel? Now, the only thing you get in a civil court is the court declaring that you have been libeled and maybe damages. This man does not need the money. There's no money that Dele can give him or he can get from Dele Farotimi that can make anything to him, mean anything to him. Now, if I put myself in Afe Babalola's shoes, and even you can put yourself in Afe Babalola's shoes, you have reached a certain height. You have that old. You are an institution, and somebody has come to poke you in the face, and you say, okay, what should I do to such a person? If I sue him to court, get damages of even 100 million, maybe I will not even get it. And if I get it, it will mean nothing to me. Why don't I see where possibly he can be sent to jail to learn his lesson? So I perfectly understand why the old man has taken this action. I believe he is also very hurt and also angry. I believe, as some people have suggested, that Dele should go and apologize to Afe Babalola. That is, or that would be a way out. He should go and tender an unreserved apology to Afe. The problem is that he has committed this thing, put it in a permanent form, in book form, that for hundreds of years going forward, people will read it and attribute it to Afe Babalola. He would have long been dead, but people will still read it and say, oh, this man who became an institution, who acquired so much, who was so much, oh, this is his underbelly, this is the tactics he used. So you can see the depth of the hurt and damage that a book,
Yeah, but honestly, I think
is capable of causing to somebody. Damage is capable of causing to somebody.
Yeah, honestly, that the government is not involved in this, I think I disagree with you. Afe Babalola, there's no doubt about that. He's an institution in himself, but he has limitation. The police, honestly, the way they bundle this guy, they did it in a very illegal way. It's only when government is involved you see police behaving in such a manner. That's just it. This guy was literally abducted, and that is just. I don't see Afe Babalola wielding such kind of power. Yes, he's powerful. There's no doubt. He's rich, stupendously rich and powerful. But honestly, I think Afe Babalola may have started it, but at this point we are now, honestly, government has bought into the trouble. That's, trust me, because this Dele Farotimi has been on Tinubu's. It's been a thorn in his flesh.
For most of us, we have expected his arrest long ago because of the kind of statements he makes against the government, just like we make on this, platform. So it is not strange. I believe they got this opportunity. They are laughing. They are happy. They can sit back and see how the man is dealt with. By you see, what happened is, the truth is that Dele knew that they were looking for him. That is why he went to Lagos. The reason is that Lagos has decriminalized defamation. It's no longer a criminal offense in Lagos State. Yes, it's no longer a criminal offense in Lagos State. You cannot prosecute somebody for defamation. I think Lagos and Edo State, they have removed criminal defamation from their penal codes.
Wow.
So living in Lagos, and the book was published in Lagos, you are comfortable that I cannot be arrested here. The only thing is that a book reaches anywhere the book reach. Like it is read or bought in it becomes an offense that took place in Ekiti State. Within the Nigerian system, you can be arrested from anywhere, any part of the federation, and taken to where you will be, where you can be prosecuted. The issue is the zeal and the way they carried it out is less than courteous, because the man could have been invited to court. They could have called him that we want to interrogate you. If you refuse to come, you now go ahead and arrest him. So it is the manner they did it that arose suspicion of government's hand behind the scene. And to that extent, I agree with you. Yes, they facilitate his predicament. They facilitate his arrest and trial. But the complaint is purely that of a private citizen, Afe Babalola.
Yeah, it is so unfortunate, honestly, that this man had to have to do this to himself. Incidentally, I think it's a blessing somehow. What is happening to him now has become a blessing in disguise. His book now has been, in fact, the guy has made serious money through his book.
He's number one on Amazon.
He's now the number one bestseller on Amazon, for God's sake. You know what that means? Number one best-selling book on Amazon. Wow, that guy is in serious money. So obviously he has the money to at least school, but unfortunately, his battle is not about money, because everybody involved that are against him are people who are 1 million times richer than him, and whatever money the book will fetch for him. That's the unfortunate aspect. So it's not about money, because it's about power here. So power is at play. Unfortunately, he does not have the power. That's just it. A sort of anyway. So okay, Barrister, I think Barrister has gone off at the network issue anyway. All right. Let's hope he comes back, because I need to ask him some more questions.